So, welcome to the AI Agent Montreal meetup. Today you have the amazing opportunity to have Soma with us for his talk from spec to production, building software with AI Agent end to end. Just for the organization, the talk is recorded and I will share it on our YouTube channel. Feel free to see it again after if you want. If you have some question, don't hesitate to ask a question in the chat, and we'll try to answer it at the end or along the presentation, depending on you, Soma.
Sure. I mean, you can do it along the presentation as well.
Okay.
It's fine. Don't worry.
Because we have a lot of attendees, I cut all mic, but I check the chat, and if you have a question, I will ask to Soma.
Okay.
That's it. Thanks to be with us again, and the place is yours, Sama.
Sure. Thank you very much. So, first of all, hi everyone. Thank you for welcoming me today. So my name is Soma. I'm a fractional CTO and a software engineer based in Dubai. I've been working in tech for over 10 years now, mostly with early stage startups and helping small teams build and scale products. So basically, when I work with these type of companies, is most likely like we will take a product from 0 to 1. So we do everything from scratch. So there are like a lot of works to be done before the product goes to production. So before the agentic era, coding used to be a nightmare. I don't know for you guys, but for me, even though I like to code a lot, I like to code. I'm a very passionate guy. Sorry, but it used to be a nightmare. So it used to take a lot of time and a lot of time in progress, and sometimes we will often hit roadblocks, and it was also hard to finish a side project or even working on a startup idea was really complicated. Okay, since time to market matters a lot, we also had to make tough choices because when even though you're building a side project, you still need to go fast because that time to market matters a lot. So most people ended up launching something lightweight and buggy, and we often had to sacrifice code quality at first just to build something that worked. And we used to we used to call it the first version, the MVP, call it whatever you want. But the truth is, from engineers to engineers, is the truth is that it's a version that we just only want to work for a customer. So now, thanks to the new era that we just jumped in, we now have multiple, I mean, different ways of building. Thing that we all have heard of these two. Most people start with vibe coding. So you just, for example, open Cursor or another vibe coding tool like Replit or something else, and you just type in, I don't know, build me X, Y, Z, whatever, and then you react to whatever comes out. And I mean, it's fast for prototypes, but it is terrible for anything that you have to maintain because like 6 weeks later, nobody knows why anything works the way it does. And this is when spec-driven development flips the script, because now you are in control. So you define the what before you let the AI touches the how. The spec is the source of truth, and the AI, the LLM implements to the spec and not around it. So decisions are traceable. Quality is structural, not aspirational. Um, the line I keep coming back to is vibe coding is like improvisation, and spec driven development is like jazz with a chart, and then you know what you're actually doing, and you still have freedom, but everyone knows the key, what needs to be done. Okay,
Just
so
in addition, I'm totally agree with you. Vibe coding is increased drastically the prototype steps, but for spec driven, just a little disclaimer. Maybe you will confirm it's not about waterfall, because maybe the spec road is ambiguous, but spec driven, we have a feedback loop also in this kind of way. And it's different than waterfall, who you define all spec at the beginning and you have a tunnel effect after 6 months, for example. Yeah.
no, yeah, yeah, true, true, true. No, I will add that spec driven development is most likely um, whatever you want to build at the. I mean, it doesn't remove your flexibility, right? It just means that whatever you want to build at that time, at a given time, you will first write the spec. Just like when you work with a product owner and he just assigned you a Jira ticket. If he's a very well skilled product owner, he will give you the definition of done, the context, the user stories, and everything. So this is what I will call spec. And then from there, you can then also define the technical spec before you start working on it. And so that when implementing the spec, you do not think on the biggest task, but you can just refine what's needed to be refined. So like small refinement and stuff, but not the bigger picture.
Yeah,
Is what I was
exactly. It's just an opportunity to discuss and have feedback on the feature. Right.
exactly. So today I I was thinking a lot about how will I demonstrate this and everything, because the headlines is really catchy, So I was thinking, okay, so what other best example can I give than something that I've really built and ship into a production? So I before that, I will give you guys a couple of a little bit of context. Um, I was, I see like a lot of people saying that agentic coding is only good for vibe coded projects, and that you can't ship a production grade product with it. And back in the day, I worked for a company that handled a lot of data processing and relied heavily on event-driven architecture, and it has to send a lot of notification based on those events. And we kept running into the same issue related to what we call inverted index queries. And that's why I decided to build Streamflow. And I will explain to you what is Streamflow. And when building Streamflow, I gave myself one rule, and it's simple. I wasn't allowed to write a single line of code. And I love challenges, so that was my only rule. Any type of code or any type of refinement or anything else. Okay, so I will give you more details uh, in the next slide. Oops, sorry. Yes. So, what is Streamflow? I'll give you a concrete example. Imagine that you have a marketplace. Here in Dubai, we have what we call Dubizo, and I think in France they have Le Bon Coin. I don't know what you have in Canada. Maybe Craigslist or something like this. No, isn't it?
I know that we have an equivalent of Le Bon Coin, but I don't remember the
You have,
name.
you have something similar, right?
Yeah.
But yes, let's say we have a marketplace, okay, and in that marketplace we have millions of users in that marketplace, and let's say that someone says, all right, whenever there is a Mercedes under 50K in Montreal, I would like to be notified. So here we have something really interesting, because it might look simple, like if when I'm saying it like this, but it's more complex than you might think. The first thing that we see here is that we have filters. I give you two filters. I said Mercedes, three filters, sorry. Mercedes under 50K and located in Montreal. So it's simple if your platform only has, I don't know, 10 users or even 100 of users. But when you have a full marketplace with millions of users, the chances that people have the exact same filters or partial filters increases a lot. So which means that the filters that I have, I might not be the only one. We might have 10,000 other users with the same filters or partial filters. So now here come the real questions, and it's kind of like it could be a an interview, a technical interview type questions, and I will ask you, okay, how would you deliver a notification when, as an admin, I add this car that matches all these users? How will you send the notification to all these users? So how will you do the fan out? And my main problems comes from there. So hold on, we will maybe we will go to this slide that will explain it better. So to solve this issue currently, and I know a lot of my friends, colleagues, and other people on LinkedIn, many developers rely on the wrong approach, such as using loops in their code. You know, like they will, for example, make a huge queries to the database and try to paginate it, and and try to do some complex things, over engineering things, and not even really reliable. Because, for example, if you have a loops in your code, what will you do if the server restarts mid-process? Or what will happen if an error occurs mid-process? And let's say you had to notify 10,000 users, and then you have a problems at half the process at 5,000 users. So you will need a mechanism to make sure that you are able to come back to where you left off, and so on and so on and so on.
Yes, it's a fault tolerance pattern, for example.
Kind of,
Yeah.
So, but most people, they will use you I mean, you need a real infrastructure to solve this, like a caching strategy like Redis, a queue. You can also use Redis as a pub sub queue as well. But main thing is, you need a real infrastructure, which is not what indie hacker developers that used to build side projects and everything have, in their hands at the beginning. So I decided to build this project with Claude, and another tool, which is spec. And the first question people asked me was, but Claude already has a plan mode. When I was speaking with my previous CTO before, so
Yeah.
I used to work with him for all my my early years. So we worked together for at least, I think, 3 or 5 years. And when I jumped into this agentic coding stuff, and I spoke to him about spec. He was like, but Claude already has a plan mode, so I don't need this. It was like Cursor has it. So why do I need anything more? Because plan mode is great for single session, single task work, like refactor this function at this endpoint, and everything. But it has fundamental limits. When you're building a real product, it doesn't have no persistence. If you open a new chat tomorrow, the plan is gone. It doesn't have a constitutional grounding. the AI doesn't know what are your project principle. You need to remind him and so on. No separation of concerns. So therefore it can mixes the what, the how, and the do it now. So that's the thing. So this is why today I wanted to introduce SpecKit, which is a tool, the exact tool, in my opinion, that agents needed, for many reasons. SpecKit is an open source toolkit from Microsoft. Okay, that gives you structured, repeatable workflow for building AI agents. And the whole philosophy is, that AI is great. Remember, AI is great at how, but bad at what. So the thing with SpecKit is to make the what explicit and durable. So SpecKit forces a 5 steps pipeline. So you have the constitution, the spec, the plan, the task, and then at the end, of course, the implementation. So we will deep dive in every step of the pipeline. But basically, to give you a rough idea, is that constitution is your project non-negotiable principles. Spec is what you're building, from the user perspective. Plan is how you will build it. So basically, it's your technical stack. Task is the work, broken down and ordered. And implement is the actual coding, so it will be one task at a time against the plan. So will each step is very important because it's what it will build a document, sorry, that we will use at the end with the AI agent.
I have a little question. Maybe we'll try answer later. But
Sure.
the previous meetup was about BeMade and a little part of OpenSpec and SpecKit. And I have a question about the overlap. When we have two specification and the second overlap the first, do you have an order in order to apply the specification? Maybe you have the answer about that.
Um, when talking about specification, like, are you talking about a specific user stories?
Yeah, for example, if you have a one user story and the second overlap or is dependent on the order of the stories. I need to see this issue. If you have the answer,
Sure.
I will
Um,
be
I
able to.
mean, the thing is with SpecKit, every time you define a spec, it will create a new branch for you,
Okay.
which means you will be in a specific branch. I will try to share my code base and the branch that you will see it. Oh, hold on, maybe
Okay, sure. So you have one branch per specification.
exactly. Hold on, I will try to bring my screen up there.
So he will try to resolve the conflict during the merge. Okay.
It's not really. I mean, you cannot really have conflict because hold on, you should see it here. Uh, oh,
We have some question in the chat. Do you want to answer now?
sure, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
One question from Jerome. Can you restate what the task step is?
Yeah, the task steps is the work being broken down in a single small task for agent, and I will share it with you just right now so that you
Okay.
will uh, you will understand directly. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
So what I was saying is that when you have a spec, you will have spec it will generate this folder because this will contain your spec, and in one spec you have so many things. So you have the requirements, the data model, the research, because AI is making research for you. You have all the agents working for you. trying to solve the problems that you have mentioned in your spec. And it's also, I don't know if you can see when I click on here. I think you cannot see, but basically every spec is in one branch. You see, that's why I have sorry, I will have one branch per spec, so it will be like this. This is why this is why, Nicholas, I don't know if it's answered your question, because I think that if two spec overlaps, then you will have it there. But then what you can do to fix it is to use either a technical project manager AI agent or a tech lead AI agent to solve it. But I will speak about it in the
Okay.
in the next slide. Hold on, I will come back to this. There you go. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So one question that you might ask yourself is how the pipeline actually flows. The flow is not strictly linear. The main thing is that you iterate at each stage, but every downstream, artifact regenerates from the upstream one, and that was all the markdown files that I just showed you previously when I was sharing my sorry my ADE. So when you change the spec, it means the plan will update. You change the plan, the task regenerates. This is Actually, this is what gives you trustability, that you know what you're doing. And most important thing is every line of code traces back to a task, and every task to a section of the plan, every section of the plan to a requirement in the spec. So every requirement to a principle in the constitution, and we will speak about the constitution because it's one of the most important documents that you must use with your AI coding agent. And that's what I was saying, that traceability is exactly what's missing in vibe coding, because in vibe coding you don't trace things, you just speak and then you go with the flow. Okay. And it's the thing that lets you maintain this kind of system over the time, and without bottlenecks.
But
So
just for the spec steps, maybe
yeah.
you build your product in solo, but do you have some meeting with the business in order to co-build this step or not?
Um, since I'm a solo
Yeah.
dev engineer, people use many words for that. I'll say that when I used SpaceKit, when I was working with there was like this other fintech startup that needed to build an API. It was a bit more complex because they already had their Jira tickets, you know.
Yeah.
So it was I had to tweak it a little bit because in SpecKit you have two ways of doing it. It's either you start from scratch, which is more easier because you can configure everything from scratch, or you start from a document, an audio, something external from you, and that's what happened with me. So what I did is that I grabbed the Jira tickets and I used it as a spec, and I did the whole flow, but for that specific Jira ticket. Because remember, one spec is just one user story.
Yeah, but maybe you can enrich the Jira ticket or the task with
Mhm.
example mapping in order to have some data or example in your specification. Yeah. Right.
Yes, of course. I mean, you said if for example, the product team just enrich the Jira ticket and then you need to update your spec, you can still redo it with SpecKit because it has many predefined commands that comes into for example, Cloud CLI, and you will be able to refine your own spec, and then it will regenerate
Okay.
the spec, the task, and everything, but not the constitution.
Hmm.
This yeah, because the constitution, you know, as I mean, I was about to explain you the constitution, but as you can see here, we'll talk about the spec right after it. I promise.
Yeah.
So
Just little precision. Maybe you told us non-explicitly, but spec kit is for greenfield and brownfield project, right?
what do you mean by greenfield and brownfield?
Brownfield is existing project. Maybe you start
Yeah, yeah,
from a
yeah,
legacy,
yeah,
and
yeah,
greenfield it's from scratch. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
for both. And I just saw a question popped up in the bottom of my screen. Someone was asking about the tokens.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so of course everything comes with the pros and cons, and I'm not going to lie on this one. This one is like it uses a lot of tokens, to be honest, but for me, I used both when I was working on it. I used Codex to try it with it because Specit is compatible with almost every coding agent out there. It's compatible with Quen, Codex, Claude, and everything. For me, I was using Claude, and I was on the $200 subscription, and I barely hit the limits, even though I was using all my agents. You know, when I was doing this, I really wanted the best quality. So to be honest, back in the day, I was like, okay, all my agents will use Claude Opus 4.5 because I started with 4.5. Then when they upgraded to 4.6, I changed all my agents and said, okay, everybody will use 4.6. It's okay. I have the $200 subscription, so I will be good. And honestly, I didn't hit the limit. I hit the limit only one time.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but it uses a lot of tokens. So if you do it with a $100 subscription, if your question is, if your question is about this topic, yes, with a $100 subscription, it might be a problem if you do it with Claude, not with Codex. With Codex, you can use $100 subscription, and you still be able to code all along the way without hitting the limit. Yeah. So regarding the Constitution, what is the Constitution? This is the most important document for your agent. Okay. The Constitution is a short, durable document that captures the principle every agent must respect. You know, sometimes you speak with the agent, you speak with Claude or Codex, and sometimes he just decide to bypass your requirement. With Spec Kit, it will reduce this behavior. Uh, at least it will try to reduce this behavior. So um, it's not really a style guide, but it's the rules that don't change between features. Okay. So for example, in your constitution, you will say that, okay, all endpoints must be authenticated by default. Database rights, sorry, should go through a repository layer. For example, you can decide that you want 80% test coverage at the minimum, and everything like this. So all these rules must not be violated uh, by 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 the LLM. Otherwise, of the code. Okay, and after that, if we have time, I'll show you a sample of my constitution document that contains a lot of things about solid principle, about hexagonal architecture, clean architecture, all those type of stuff that the AI agents must respect. So here is the spec. The one I think, Nicholas, that you were the most interested into.
Yep.
And then I'll explain what is it concretely. So as I said, the spec um, answers the what, right? What we are doing, never the how, not how we will do it, but just what we are doing. Okay, so it's written from the user's perspective. Okay, and every spec has a user story, acceptance criteria, concrete. It must be concrete and testable. Should be explicit. And even, I mean, when you're reading a spec, you should be aware of what we know and what we don't know, which means that everything that is out of scope should be explicitly listed. And there are, like a list of items that we know that we will not answer in this spec, to not overlap on the other spec. So normally, if it's done the right way, we should be able to avoid that. Okay. Um,
And the specs need to be agnostic to technology, right?
yeah, agnostic.
You only use a business perspective. Yeah. Right.
Only business perspective, user stories only. We do not talk about the technical stack in here at this stage. We do not tell the AI, okay, I want to use MongoDB or
Yeah,
Postgres, or I want to
right.
use Kafka. We do not talk about technology. Here is only, let's say this is the part for the product team itself. Okay. And now here is where we will define the technical stack, because the plan is actually the how. It answers the how we will do it. So basically, this is the tech stack. So this is where, as a software, for example, as a software architect, this is where you will decide, okay, we will use MongoDB and not Postgres, and maybe for the backend programming language, we will use Golang and not Node.js. Okay, you in here you will also decide the data models, the API contracts, the trade-off, all everything that is about the technical stack will be defined in this section and in this step of spec kit.
But
Okay.
do you come with decisions, or you can iterate and maybe if you don't know the advantage of Mongo over Postgres, you can iterate with Cloud, for example,
Yeah.
or you come with decision and you tell use MongoDB, you know?
Claude will ask you a question along the way when
Okay.
you start typing backslash, because you when installing SpecKit, it comes out with predefined CLI comments along the way. So, and included in these comments, you have the backslash plan, and then when you do backslash plan and then you start typing your plan, actually, I don't type my plan. I generate a plan in a markdown file format with Claude previously, so that my plan is as light and clean as possible. So normally in my plan, there is no, let's say, there is no interrogations after reading my plan. But sometimes you can Claude might ask you, okay, you want to do this, but do you want to do it with option A, or do you want to do it with option B? And even though you still don't have the answer right now, you can come back later on it and hit the backslash clarify, and it will tell you everything that you need to clarify and that wasn't clear enough for him, which is great, because it will say, okay, user said we should use this tool, but he didn't mention how we should use it, and so that you can go into a refinement session with Claude and fixes it before diving into the four steps, which is crucial, and I will show it to you, because it's the plan step. Because in the plan step, we will have like all the tasks generated. Oops, sorry. In the task step, sorry, we will have all the tasks generated based on the plan. So in here, what people doesn't know, because it's not something that SpecKit mentioned in their README, but once you have the list of tasks, you can use an AI agent to reorder the task based on priority. You can use another agent to make sure that nothing is missing. Usually, I love to do it with Codex because OpenAI models are very great at reasoning. So this is why I love to do this part with an OpenAI models. It depends on which tool you're using. For example, I used to work with Claude Code, but I tried Droid. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with it, but with Droid you can change the models, at any time. So for this specific task of reordering task, making sure that nothing is missing and everything, I mostly use OpenAI models. And then another important step that is not mentioned in spec kit, and that's why it's great that you guys are here in this meetup, because this is some trick and tips that I've learned along the way, is that every task that will be generated, you should assign a dedicated subagent to it. For
Okay.
example, if I don't know, task one is about the database, you should assign it to the database engineer. And I will explain this uh, after in two slides, and I will explain to you the fact that we will do a recruitment process before starting to implement the code, because physically we are one, but I will say digitally we are a full team of engineer communicating between each others. um, so yeah, so and then
You can fire one
yeah, you can
engineer.
fire people. Yeah, you can fire people. I remember sometimes when my coding agent, like my backend engineer, was going crazy. I had to be very rude with him to make sure that he will not repeat the same mistake. So uh, I remember that I use ChatGPT to write a prompt to make sure that my Cloud Code agent will not repeat the same mistake. And I was really surprised because in his prompt, ChatGPT wrote code like your life depends on it, and someone knows where you live. And I was really in shock because I found it really violent, and it was from ChatGPT. Actually, it wasn't it wasn't from me. But the truth is, it worked perfectly. So I don't know why. But yeah, the last step is the implementation. And when you reach this step, you can say, okay, I've made it, because this is a great progress. Now that you reach this step, you can almost, and I said almost, not you can, almost leave your project in autopilot, because from now on you will just hit the backslash implement, and the number of the task, for example, backslash implement task 001, you will press enter. And then from that, SpecKit will use its framework to inject into the AI subagent context the spec of this task, the constitution. Remember the constitution, so what it should do and what it shouldn't do, and everything. And every task is broken into a single small task, because agents are great are at doing one thing. So when they start doing two things or three things, they can decide to do whatever they want. Okay. And one thing that is really important here, but we will come back to it later, is when a task is marked as done by the agent. What I do in my project is that I have enforced a critical chain review. And then in that critical chain review, I've mentioned that whatever task you have done today, before you mark it as done, you need to give this task to be reviewed by all the relevant subagents. So for example, if it was a task about the database, then the database engineer should review it. then the software architect should review it, the security reviewer should review it to make sure that the task has been done correctly. And then we have a three stage. It's either it passed, it's rejected, or it's pending approval because something is missing and must be corrected.
But
Okay?
do
Yeah.
you have some harness? Because when you delegate a task to a sub-agent, you need to have all right, because
Yeah.
you don't want to validate everything. I think when you delegate to a sub-agent in this way, it's not like a baby step, It's like you delegate the whole task, yeah, with the full right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The whole task. He's responsible for the entire task.
Yeah. Okay.
And yes, so here it is. So I remember there was one podcast I was talking about having 20 agents working for me in my MacBook, and those are the agents I was talking about. And there is a reason why we want to create an agent team, because a single generalist AI assistant, has fundamental limitation. It tries to do everything. For example, if you decide to work with spec kit without having a sub agent, it's fine. But you will have one single generalist AI assistant. And at the end of the day, it ends up doing nothing exceptionally well. So the key to this is to hire a real engineering team like you will do in a real life. So this is why for some of my production grade projects, I run up to 10 specialist agents, and each of them, they have a focused system prompt, a specific tool set, clear responsibilities, clear review duties, and this is what makes it possible. Without this, I'm not sure that I will achieve the same code quality. Okay. Um, so here is the, the full team. So in my team, I have a tech lead, and we will come back to their role right after it. So we have a tech lead, a software architect, an API designer, database engineer, backend engineer, QA engineer, a code quality coordinator, a code security reviewer, a project manager, and my favorite one is the DevOps, because I have like the DevOps AI agent that I have built. I'm using it for all my project, and he is actually the one managing my Kubernetes cluster, Argo CD instance, GitLab instance, and everything. This is just crazy and amazing. So yeah, so this is my team. So whenever I speak with a client, I speak with one person physically, but at the end of the day, we are 10 people behind doing the work. And what's funny is that sometimes these AI agents, they decide to speak to each other by themselves. So for example, if the backend engineer is doing something and then he just want to mark the task as done, then the API designer will review his task and then will say, hey, something is wrong, And if they disagree with, for example, if they disagree on the task, they might call the tech lead and say, hey, we have two approach to this. So backend engineer want to do this, API designer want to do this. What is the best thing to do? And then the tech lead is the shot caller. So this is really funny. And the first time it happened to me, my wife called me crazy because I was going crazy behind my laptop. I was like, no, this must not be real.
I think we
So
have
yeah,
a relevant question about that. It's how often and when you're
sure.
involved in the reviewing process when tasks are in progress.
How far? Say that again. Sorry.
How often and when are you involved in the reviewing process when tasks are in progress?
Me or the AI agents?
You, I think. Yeah.
Me. So when they mark a task as done, they usually write into backlogs, and I will show it to you after. But in all my project, I have a backlog folder. When AI agent, hold on, I'll show it to you right now. So where AI agents write what they did, so it's time stamped.
It's a
So for
backlog.
example,
Okay.
let's take this one like this, and in this one, when they mark a task as done, they will explain everything they have done, and everything that happened, and also the agent reviews. So they said, for example, for this task, okay, you see the tech lead, he approved option A, as I said earlier. So the tech lead said, okay, you should go with option A, and the technical project manager approved it. Then every agent approved it, and then when they finish a task, I know exactly what they have done and how they did it, because they will explain it here in the backlog. So the backlog is like where I know what was done for each day and at what time, so that I can review their work.
Yeah, it's always associated to a commit with the works done, or it's a separate commit for the backlog. If you look at your history, for example, for this one, you will see this backlog and the entire file change in one commit, right? Soma, I think we have some lag. Ah, sorry, I think Soma have some lag. Soma, to reboot.
Agents took over his computer.
The tech lead agents say, "Oh
Yeah,
no,
he's
it's
talking, and they're like, "It's time for you to
secret."
reboot." I'm kidding.
But for our attendees to wait, I think it's a different approach from uh, AI assisted development. In this way, it's agentic coding, and you delegate everything to an sub-agent, and it's a completely different way of working. Um, I will try to reach Soma. I think yes. Hold us 1 second. Okay. Let's try to reconnect. Connect. Some lag since the beginning, but uh, Soma. Sorry for for the waiting. Yes, Soma.
Uh,
Are you?
yes.
Yeah, sorry. I think
Is it
it's the connection. Yeah.
is it on my side, or I don't
I
know?
think it's on your side because since the beginning we have a little lag, but maybe when you try to share your screen, you have big lag.
Uh-huh. Okay,
Okay,
hold on. I
now
might.
it's okay. Maybe you can remove your camera in order to save some.
I had a VPN activated, so that's
Ah,
why.
okay.
So normally the connection should be way more better right now. Yes, here it is.
We joke about
Uh,
the technical agent disconnect you from the meeting. Yeah.
he said, hold on, you're saying too much."
You can't share
Um,
this.
but yeah, But to answer your question, basically, you see this task here. So the T334, this task, when this task is done, then it will basically the agent will write in the backlog. So it's not associated with a commit, but it's associated with a task. So when a task is done, boom, he will then write in the backlog. He will say, all right, this is what you see. I've done task 204 to task 209, and then this is what I've done. Blah 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 blah. Here is the agent reviews, blah 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 blah, and everything. And what is great with the backlog as well is that it also tells you what went wrong when these agents were working together. So this is the beauty of it. Hold on. I will come back to it. So yeah, so here we have the responsibilities and the scope of every agent. So basically, the tech lead, owns the technical direction, conflict resolution, and everything, and make sure that the constitution is respected. The software architect, just like a real team in the real life, the software architect is there to make sure that, for example, we said, okay, we would like to build this project following the clean architecture principle. He's there to make sure that we have no breaking pattern or something like this. API designer is there to handle and manage the API contracts and so on. So the code quality guardians is there to make sure that so the naming conventions, the structure of the code, and everything is respected. Then the security reviewer is one of the most important one, because his job is also there to make sure that you don't have any security breach in your code, and then he's there to make sure that the life of hackers is really difficult. Okay,
Mhm.
and
But it don't come with spec kit, huh, right? You build by your own, or you get all sub-agent on a website, or
So this is a great question. So actually, this is the thing that used to take me the most of my time, because I need when I do during the recruitment phase, I need to configure every single agent to make sure that they will respect what I want. And another thing that you can do is also give them skills. So you make sure that they will do things the way you want, you know and then you have the technical project manager, and usually this is the one I use to reorder task. You remember earlier I was speaking about reordering task and everything. And then my favorite one, of course, the DevOps, that is there for to deploy the app at the end of the day. And as I said, as I said earlier, so I attribute a task to an agent, so before, this is how is oh, oops. No, come back. Yeah. Okay, it spoiled everything. This is
spoil.
great. But it doesn't want to. Okay. Hold on, I'll come back to it. So here, on the left, when SpecKit will generate the task, it will be like this. But after attributing every task to a single agent or multiple agent, if you want, it will be like what you have on the right. And what is great is that using this, it allow Claude or Codex or any other LLM architecture, if they have parallelism in their features, it will allow you to use it for free. So for example, when SpecKit give you a task, if this task is if you can do this task in a parallelism, it will have a p between brackets, so you know that all the tasks with a p, they can be done simultaneously. You don't have to do it sequentially, so you gain time, and especially with the Cloud Code new feature about Git working tree. or Git work trail. I don't know how they call
Yeah.
it. It allows agent to create a work trees, and then work in parallel with the other agent touching the same code base and without conflicts.
And you
So
can't have a task without attribution? Or
of course you can. But
you
in
can.
my workflow, the way I use SpecKit,
Okay.
SpecKit doesn't come with everything that I've showed you today. Most of the things I've showed you today, they must be done by you. So those are the tips. Because I've been using SpecKit for nearly 8 months now. Most of these tips, I've learned them along the way. People are not using spec it the way I do. So even when I watch YouTube and I see famous influencers talking about spec driven development, I used to laugh a lot because they only talk about the plan mode and everything when you can do something very, very, very detailed with spec kit. This is the masterpiece for AI agent, to be honest. Okay. um, so yeah, and then I spoke earlier about the backlogs, which is the team's daily logbook. So usually, we in the real life we have daily meetings, right? We have daily meetings, and we say, okay, so yesterday I worked on that and I've done that. I hit the roadblocks, but then I called Mark, and then Mark helped me, and blah blah blah. And this is what the backlogs is about. So I remember someone on LinkedIn on one of my posts asked me, okay, what about why don't you just use Git history? And I was like, okay, this is a great question, but it's not enough for me, because when you hit close in the clone command in your folder, it automatically scans the backlogs, and he knows, but it doesn't automatically load the Git history and blah blah blah. So this is why I use the backlog, and also for me, it allows me to review how the work was done and what was done more easier.
Just you talk about the branches, and do you use a squash, or you should use you don't should use squash, because you need to see every step done by the subagent, and if you squash this sub step or remove, you know?
Yeah, I don't squash them.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so that's why in if I share my GitLab, then you will see a lot of small commits
Yeah.
sometimes.
Right.
I do not squash them. Maybe we could. I mean, this is something that we could improve. I don't know how SpecKit wants to handle this. But yes, this is a great question. Uh, Hold on, because okay, yes, no, do not spoil. Why? I don't know why my presentation is acting crazy right now. Hold on.
You can continue 30 minutes, but maybe some attendees need to leave. But
Okay,
I'm okay to continue. Right.
sure. Most of the things has been said. I think that I think. Hold on, let me check something just to see if. Okay. Uh, Let me check if I didn't forget about anything. So yes, no, and yes. The most important thing is the results, which is the metrics from this journey. The main metrics uh, I have to tell people about is my time saved. So using agentic coding helped me save 92% of my time, which is absolutely crazy. That means that what I used to do in 1 month, I was doing it in 2 days or even one day or half a day. That's the most important metrics. And then yes, I'm done, and I'm listening to
Yeah.
questions if there are some.
I have several questions. Just about the cost. Do you have, because I know that GitHub Copilot uh, yesterday changed your models to subscription to API usages. And for your project, you have only monthly subscription, right? The For Cloud, for example, or
For Claude, yeah, you only have. I mean, for Claude, you can use both. You can. use a subscription based, or it can be also API based. But with Druid, I mean, and on Cloud also you can use your extra usage. But on Druid, on using Druid, what is interesting is that you do not have weekly session limit. You know,
Yeah.
you can just use it as much as you want until you have used your whole credits.
I ate the weekly
Yeah. So this is why.
We have a question from Leila. So there is no human in the loop to approve commits in this approach. How do you manage when the agent makes a mistake?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I forgot something. Sorry,
Yeah.
and now it comes to my mind. I forgot the test, the test and guardrails section. I'm really sorry, because since you said some people needs to leave, then it just popped out of my
Yeah.
mind, because I was trying to end this quickly. So yes, there is a human in the loop. Actually, there is even more than that, because for every single features you will have unit test, integration test, end-to-end test, code coverage to make sure that everything is tested. And during the end-to-end test is my ultimate guardrails. Why? Because in the end-to-end test phase, I do not allow mock except for third-party services like Stripe or something like this. So actually, there is the human in the loop step, because I will tell the AI to generate a Postman collection, and then with the Postman collection, I will then tell him to use Newman. I don't know if you heard of it,
Yeah,
Newman.
sure.
So, yeah, so to use Newman and make sure that everything passes. And sometimes I have to check it myself using Postman to make sure that this API calls really works. But with these two, with Postman and Newman, you're already able to catch almost 80 to 90% of the bugs. It's the ultimate guardrails, and actually on GitLab, this is the job that take the most time on my pipeline.
Yeah,
This is
but you need the data. I use Newman just for attendees. Postman is just to try your API, and you need to have some data sets, and you can add some expected result. And Newman is just a tool to execute. It take two arguments: the collection and an environment files, because you need to replace some environment variables. And it's a way to test your API and you make non-regression test at the end-to-end phase. Yeah.
exactly
Just, I have a question about I like the difference between AI assisted coding and agentic coding. Your presentation, it's more about agentic coding because you delegate the entire task to a sub-agent. But how you deal with pull request to not to be overwhelmed by big batches of something like that? Because in AI assisted coding, you navigate in a baby step and a little PR. But in your way of working, I think sometimes you can have a big batches and
true.
yeah.
True, especially, and this is what I think that spec kit could do better, because when you define a spec, like the initial spec, when you start spec kit from scratch, the initial spec has a lot of tasks and contain a lot of specs, you know, which gives you a huge first merge request or pull request, depending on the platform where you're at. So usually for this, I use Codex, OpenAI models to review this pull request, because it allows me to scan everything and make sure that everything is in order and is all right, and along with the end-to-end test, because in the pipeline. If hold on, so
But you need
for
a
example,
technical background, right? Because you have a
yeah, of
technical
course.
background. Yeah.
Of course, of course, of course. Everything I said is not possible without a technical background. To be honest, it's like a non-technical user cannot build it the way I have done it. You
Yeah,
know,
but it's just to highlight for attendees that it's the main difference between vibe coding, who non-technical user can provide generate some prototype quickly, and this way of working. When you deal with all subagents, at the end you need to review the pull request and you need to understand what the agent
is doing.
build. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this is why in here, whenever we have a code changes, I have a very strong pipeline, especially for the main branch. In here, you see you have a release, like you have many multiple release jobs that make sure that nothing is broken, and that pipeline, the entire pipeline that you see here is maintained by my DevOps agent from end to end. So I review the code with OpenAI and Codex, and then I also use this pipeline to make sure that I have no regression here. You see?
Just for the new man, do you use for external API sandbox or do you have some WireMock? You know,
No, for third party services, just like I said, Stripe, I use Mock. You
Mock.
know,
Okay, but
yeah, but
yeah,
it's the only things that is allowed to be mocked. Otherwise, I use a test database, and I also make sure that when I write to the database, I need to check that the data exists in the database as well.
okay. We have some question in the chat, but just one more on me. Uh, During the implementation phase, do you use a better model for the implementation or just the normal way of working, the
Uh,
default model, for example?
since since I have the $200 subscription, I use the latest model. You know, I use
The latest,
for
okay.
example, yeah, like Opus 4.7, because I will not hit the limit. I don't know how people hit the limits, actually, to be honest. It happened to me maybe 5 times since in 8 months.
Yeah. And I have another question. No, okay. Just we have some question. How are you interfacing with your agent? Are you only communicating with tech lead for Streamflow?
It depends what I need. So usually I hit the streamflow command to implement the task, and then if the task is done, then you have the automatic critical chain review that will be activated to check the task. If the task is not done correctly, or we have a gap in the task, or we need to reorganize task, then I will either speak with the tech lead or the technical project manager, or I will speak with both. I will bring both, and I will tell them that I will tell them the problem, and then I will tell them to find me the best solution that we could have. And this is also where your personal experience matters a lot, because you, at the end of the day, you the human, and you are the one who orchestrated them. You know, so they will tell you something, but sometimes you need to force things and say no. I said we should do it that way, and when you insist a lot, they're like, okay, Nicholas, you're right. Indeed, we should have done this that way. And this is where you still have a gap. And I don't think that you can replace people, but I see AI as an assistant, you know.
And I think you maybe you experiment that, but we have a new mental health. This is about that. It's AI brain fry. Maybe in the because you need to manage a whole team and maybe you
Yeah,
have many task switching and maybe many
yeah.
notification and responsibility because you have big batch of pair that you need to validate. Do you have experienced some AI brain fry? No? It's
Okay, so call me crazy, but before the agentic era, I was already doing this. You know, I was already handling 5 projects at a time, and
okay.
I just had longer day. You know, it was very difficult with my wife and kids because it was like early morning, late night, and I'm used to context switching because I mostly work with startups, And in startups, you are the go-to guy. So you need to have a very versatile profile. You need to switch from DevOps to backend to front end to whatever it is. And I was doing this for many projects. So the day they released Cloud Code, I was like, hold on, you must be kidding, because this is exactly what I need. So with Cloud Code and other tools, I just feel like a fish in the water, like playing with things, and
Yeah, it
it's
just
just
amplify your creativity. Yeah, right.
that's it. I was doing this way before Cloud Code, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. And because it's part of your personality. Yeah. And
It's technology.
how do you prevent, because you have built an ecosystem around subagent and agents. Do you have some guardrails around vendor locking? Because at this time, I talk about Copilot that changed the pricing model to subscription to API usage. Do you have some guardrails around vendor locking if you are
Exactly.
totally dependent from cloud, for example?
You need to know that you're speaking to someone that hates vendor locking. So
Yeah.
whatever I do, even for everything I do is cloud agnostic. I don't rely on a
Okay.
specific cloud provider. I never use a solution from a cloud provider, like specifically from Google or Microsoft or AWS. Everything I use is from cloud marketplace. I make sure that everything is cloud agnostic. So do I for the agentic coding flow. So spec kit is agent agnostic, which means you're running out of tokens on cloud, then boom, you can switch to Codex, and then you can switch to Quen, you can switch to Kimi, you can switch to whatever you want. You know,
Okay.
actually, I used to switch from Claude to Droid to Gemini to to Codex. I think I have almost all CLI agents in my laptop, and I switch between them when needed to.
Yeah, it's just for attendees to keep in mind that you should be agnostic to
Yeah,
all platform. Yeah. And
don't rely only on one solution,
yeah, uh, don't put all eggs in the same.
in one basket. Exactly.
We have a question about when building agents, it is necessary to learn vector databases. I don't think so. Which one should I use, and which are the most popular in the market?
Okay, so this one is a very interesting question, because it's actually a project that a friend of mine, which is he's a data scientist, he was working on. He was working on a project that will allow you to plug a graph database to your agent, so that when your agent scan the code base, he can make connection more easier than using the grep command in your project all the time. So this is something that you can do, but this is kind of over engineered for most of the projects. So what you can do, you can use Cloud Mem, which is a persistent storage solution that spin up a SQLite instance in your laptop, and then your agent will directly get check into the check in the SQLite instance to remember what he was doing. So you don't necessarily use vector database.
Okay, right. We have another question. Just to be clear, you're using Droid plus SpecKit. Droid is like OpenClaw or not?
No. Droid is a corporate based in San Francisco, and they have built this CLI tool that allows you to load any LLM into your CLI environment. So you can use Gemini, you can use Claude, you can use GLM, like Chinese AI models. You can use any type of model. So it's not like a open OpenClaw, and I'm using SpecKit mostly with Claude and Codex,
Yeah.
both of them. So I use Claude to code and Codex to review the work.
Yeah, and you can use SpecKit also in a brownfield area, like you said. I think we don't have any new question. I share the new site of AI Agent Montreal. Just if you have some links, I will add it on the comment of the YouTube video, the link of Droid or something like that. Don't hesitate to send me all links. And thank you so much for this talk. I think it's a truly interesting topic about agentic coding and the way
Right.
of how we can delegate to a sub-agent. It's a different working of AI assisted coding. Thank you so much, Sama. And
You're welcome.
I will share the YouTube video on our YouTube channel. So feel free to subscribe to
Very much.
the AI Agent Montreal channel. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
And
Thanks so much, guys.
yeah, see you soon at the next meetup.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.